So we're just getting here to our local tournament. There's Chris. And we're playing in a $10 tourney to try and win a pre-release Luffy, the 101.
Yellow one?
The yellow 101.
A little older, but I mean, it's still got some good worth to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's only been going up in price, and with all the previews of the three brothers,
Wano yellow stuff.
could be pretty good.
Yeah.
So
Here we go, which is luck.
yeah, we're gonna head inside. We'll let you know how it goes.
So here we are in round 1, and we've got Chris on your right on Newgate versus our buddy Jose on NL. And Chris is on the play, starting off with a Nami. He's gonna find a Radical Beam here. Just a second. And obviously pass. And now we'll 2-done no shoulda pass. So for Chris's turn, he's gonna make the most of his dodge, get 2 attacks in, and now hits a trigger off the first life, and a second trigger. So a pretty good start for NL. A relevant body on the board and filtering their hand, digging deep for the late game. So KOing the Nami and playing an Ohm, and Chris finally catches a break by Ohm not finding Holy and NL not having one to put from hand. Attack for 6, and then starter Luffy. No attack because there's no point attacking NL and resting your character when it's his last life and he has an activated leader effect and it's your last attack. So starting off with an attack for 6 at leader with Ohm. And just another attack for 6 with leader taking it. And another attack for 7 countering out on Chris's end, and now ends with a Holy. So on 7 done, Chris doesn't have his ace and he plays an Ezo and whiffs. So quite a bit of bad luck to start off. So he's gonna go flat with Luffy at Sanji, and now lets it die. Another 6, most likely at Ohm. Yeah, the Shirahoshi counter, so it was at Ohm. Another Ezo is gonna find the ace that we were missing, and Chris's last one is gonna be a Marco KO the Shirahoshi. Not the best, but definitely stops any Katakuri shenanigans going on, so that's still pretty nice. So for NL's turn, gonna get in for 6, likely at Luffy. Another 6. This one is coming at Luffy or the leader as well. Most likely at Luffy. And then a 7. This one was going at lead and Chris takes it. So Chris is on 9 Dawn and I believe doesn't have 9 cost Edward Newgate character. Just thinking about how to sequence this turn. Certainly like ways to go for lethal here, but it's not likely. Plays an ace, -3's the Omen, NL, 7 at leader. No trigger. No 6 at leader. And NL's gonna take it, and it's a Veggie. Yeah, vegging the leader. When there's only 2 attackers left, you want the character to attack, so you have the option to attack it the next turn. So Chris pondering whether or not it's worth it to attack, and he ends up going 6 into the reduced NL, which was a 4, and NL saves it with 2 2Ks. So NL starts his turn by 6 at lead. It gets a 2K. Not a good sign for Chris. 6 at lead, 2K, 6 at lead, 2K. So we've got 8 Dawn left and NL, and NL's just gonna go for it, and Chris can only get to 14 and has an attack for 15. 2 dead cards in hand, Ace and Luffy. Alright, so we're here into round 2, and now you see me on the play versus Katakuri. I'm here on the left. Playing Zakazuki. Katakuri starts with a pudding, finding 7 cost mom, and thankfully I have a decent curve for being forced to go on the play. Found the Borsellino and played a brand new on 3, discarding Kaido because this is not the kind of matchup you want to go late. And here's a pudding. I use a 2K because I want to counter out of one of these attacks, and I know I can't counter out of the 7, or I'd rather not use 2 cards to do so. So it's fine taking one but not the other. So I'll just use brand new to clear up the pudding here. Attack for 6 and then play a Borsellino. Another attack for 7. I remember my hand was lacking 2Ks this game, so as much as I'd love to block and use a 2K with Borsellino, didn't have that option. And then I just took the life, and then brand new gets KO'd by Gadatsu. So now I'm trying to decide the best course of action. I decide to just play out my Borsellino on curve. I at least have a blocker up, so not under the most pressure. Here's another 7 that I wish I could block in 2K, and I just can't. So here comes the Big Mom, and I have to let him gain a life. So we've taken a lot of attacks and still no 2Ks in sight, but luckily all of our removal has been the aggressive kind, where we get to remove something and deploy a body, so it's definitely possible for us to catch back up here. So I attack with the leader, reducing the Big Mom, and I'm attacking with Borsellino here too, because if I hit a Thunderbolt, I'd rather have at least got the attack in. He decides to guard out, and no trigger after all. And we just reduce the Big Mom by 4 with Rebecca and Hina, and then KO it with Lucci. You'll notice I have 1 Dawn up. It's because if they hit a character trigger off life, I was gonna Ice Age it so that my Lucci could kill 2 things. I'd get max value. But yeah, the position is not the worst. We obviously have Rebecca here to protect our last life, and they just hit 10 Dawn, so we're expecting a Big Mom, and we would have untapped with our full board and just used the 1K counter if they had played it. But they end up going with Katakuri instead, Thunderbolting Lucci and putting Borsellino on the top of our life. Our board's still looking good here, and now we're at 2 life, and I believe after my leader effect this turn I'll finally start to draw into some 2Ks. So we managed to wear it out, managed to weather the storm, and now what we gotta do is just play around these triggers. So I play brand new, finding exactly what I wanted. Hound Blaze. Again, more proactivity in the removal that we have. So I believe I'm going to get an attack with my leader here. Yep, for 7, reducing Katakuri. So Katakuri is a 7 now. And there's a trigger in life. I know it's not Thunderbolt because my Borsellino would have been killed in an instant. It was a Maru, and they discarded 7 cost Big Mom and a 10 cost Big Mom to gain the life. So I attack with Borsellino. They have 2 cards in hand, and it gets a Beji. Now I attack with Hina. Again, attacking with Borsellino first just to try and fade a Thunderbolt. So you see me Ice Age and Hound Blaze the Katakuri, and then get a 6K attack in with Rebecca because I'm at 2 life. And they have no boards. It's literally impossible for me to die, even if they play Big Mom burning a life, even if I had no cards in hand, you know. So they clean up my Rebecca and play the Big Mom. So here I believe I'm out of good reduction, so I'm just gonna try and get aggressive. Text their hand or eat away at their life. Attack with Hina, get a card, attack with leader, take a life, thankfully fade a trigger, and then we're just gonna use the rest of our Dawn to make a very defensive play. I'm gonna pay 4 for Rebecca and get back our Sabo. Oh, sorry, get back Hina, play Sabo. So we go wide, preparing for going for game, filtering our hand. None of our guys can get Thunderbolted or Yamato'd if they were playing it. We have 3 blockers. Big Mom attacks us easily. Blocked with Rebecca. Thankfully they didn't have like Amaro or anything like that. I attacked for 5 here and I don't know why I countered instead of using one of my 6k blockers, but I must have just felt in a decent position. Hopefully that's all it was, because not the best play. So here we are, just gonna end the game with a bunch of 7s. And I had 2 Hound Blazes in my hand, so this is an attack for 14. No way out of it. And that was game. See you in the next one.
Alright, what's up guys? We're just after round 2 right now. I'm currently 2-0. Playing Sakazuki, played against 2 Katakuris, which is not a good matchup for me, but thankfully I was able to draw really well as Sakazuki can, and was able to, you know, squeeze it out. I'm not gonna say like Sakazuki's not able to win every matchup, that's why I'm playing it, but I do think it's unfavorable. So yeah, 2-0, and
I'm not as fortunate. I started off 0-2, round 1, win against Anel, lost to a Veggie Trigger last life, so can't do much about that. And round 2 went up against Sakazuki, and I think it's about a 50-50 matchup. I'm on Whitebeard, and you know it's the best deck in the format. You can't win them all, but first 0-2 in a while, so pretty rough. But hopefully Ryan or one of the homies can take it home. Yeah,
and hopefully it's just a good tournament. That's why we come and play. But definitely rough for Chris. We'll see if he can rally, but keep cheering me on. We'll let you know how it goes.
Peace.
Alright, so we're here into round 3. Sakazuki Mirror. I'm playing against my buddy Pedro, and you'll notice his leader is pretty sick. He designed it himself. Go check him out on Instagram. But yeah, this game I was forced to be on the play, so I was on the odd curve, but thankfully my second leader ability drew me into the perfect card for the scenario. I drew the Hina, so I get to be parity on cards and present a threat for little investment, a threat that replaced itself also. So you'll see here he has to remove it, respect it, so that he doesn't get any early aggression out of me. So he answers it with Houndblaze, so great situation for me because I was probably going to take a 5, but he attacked me for 9, and the card he removed replaced itself, so not feeling too down. So here we're just going to get an attack for 6, get a 2k and play Borsellino. And this Borsellino is actually going to go on to play a huge role in this game. You'll notice in Pedro's hand we don't see Houndblaze or Borsellino, the 7 cost. So this Borsellino is going to go a long way. He plays brand new trying to find Houndblaze. He only finds an Ice Age and a Sudo. He takes the Ice Age. And that Ice Age is the beginning of a little bit of bad luck that Pedro has throughout this game. So he's going to attack me for 7. I'm going to block in 2k, go to 8. He's going to play another brand new, and this is what I was talking about. He sees 2 non-searchable cards and another Ice Age, so really wishing he took the Sudo from the first one, but he couldn't have known. Now he's stuck with 2 Ice Ages in hand. It's something I know. I think I have 3 Hound Blazes in my hand at this point, so I pitched 1 to leader effect because I just needed to find some more action. So whenever your Borsellino survives and you're not too far behind, it's great to get in with them. So I'm here trying to put on pressure. I get a 2k out of his hand and then minus a brand new, get in for 8, play Rebecca. I wanted to go wide this turn. My hand is a little awkward. It's just a bunch of reduction and removal, and he didn't really have any threatening characters, so I was like contemplating for a while on what to do, but I thought the best course of action was just to try and go wide, especially with 2 Ice Ages in hands. Like, sure, he can double Ice Age Lucci, but if he's spending -5s on my 3 and 4, like, I won't be too upset about it. So here he's attacking my Hina and reducing it, and I'm trying to decide, like, would I rather let Rebecca die or let Hina die. I decided to just block with Rebecca just in case his hand is as weak as it's been seeming. I'd rather have the character with power, even though Hina's much easier to remove without any cards. So another brand new, and just the third brand new that's disappointing. I don't know if you noticed, but it was a whiff. 2 Dressrosa cards and a brand new. So just straight down a card, down to Dawn. Just not good. So he activates Leader Effect. Gets an attack in for 5 at Hina. You go ahead and let it die, and then he plays 4 for Rebecca. And getting back to Shigi, nothing of value to put in, and passing the turn. So my Borsalino stuck around another turn, so definitely gonna try and take advantage of that, utilize it aggressively. So assuming 5 at the brand new, reducing the other brand new, and he's thinking about defending it here because he knows like he needs to have a board, but obviously he's gonna come to the conclusion it's just not worth it. And then we just Rebecca Hinaluchi combo as all this time, and we even get an attack for 6 in. So one last Leader Effect fill to the hand, passing the turn. And the board just obviously favoring me a lot. I mean, you saw firsthand Pedro had a lot of unfortunate interactions this game, or plays this game. So this time I just let Hina die. I'd rather him have to spend more to reduce the cost of my Rebecca if he wants to get rid of it. And he finally sees a Houndblaze. But the better play for him is to deal with 2 of my guys, so Hinaluchi's, and he goes wide himself, so, and he gets to save the Houndblaze for next turn. But yeah, here Borsalino is another turn untapping with it. So we're going 7 at lead, reducing Hina. And here we just try and go aggressive. He's been stumbling, and I'm trying to capitalize on that, so I'm gonna Houndblaze the Hina and buff the Borsalino. He's at 8, and we're gonna attack for 10. Take his last life. This is a play I really love doing against Sakazuki when you can. Obviously, like if you're in no danger yourself, but I'm basically what I like to call taxing his Dawn. Now that he's at 0, he basically has to play blockers, and even then the blockers aren't 100% safe because, you know, they could get bottom decked by things like Houndblaze and Borsalino and stuff like that. But if he doesn't play a blocker, then obviously I'm just going to go 15 with lead, and it's close to impossible for Sakazuki to get out of that. So he Great Eruptions, and Great Eruptions and Houndblaze is my Borsalino. Puts it to the bottom, the active one. And yeah, unfortunately, as this turn pans out, you're just gonna notice just a bunch of brick draws from Pedro. Unfortunately, he gets in 2 attacks at me. Bottom's my thing, but he does not have a blocker, and I asked to see his graveyard, and I also asked his cards in hand. There was 6, and I knew about the 2 Ice Ages. He never played them. That's why I checked the discard for the Ice Ages. And yeah, that was game. So here we are in the final round. I'm in the finals versus my good friend Bernie. He's on Red-Green Law. Sorry for the glare, you can't really see it. But yeah, so he goes first, and I have a really good hand. I have the choice of Houndblaze and Kuzan here, and I decided to take Kuzan because I just think in combination with the Rabluchi in my hand, like it's gonna leverage a lot more, and I just like going deeper. Law's not a deck that can really pressure you super early, so I'm totally fine tapping out with my 4-Dawn turn to play a Kuzan, being up a card and having this gigantic threat for his future 5 costs. So he gets an attack for 5 in and plays 2 more guys, and do exactly like I said, and just activate Leader Effect to get deeper into my deck. So, like as you'll see, like this turn, the most I could fear is like an attack for like 7 and 6. If he wanted to attack with the Brook, that obviously wouldn't be ideal. So he's just doing the 5, a counter out of it, and now we can expect a shambles and probably one more attack. And I'm gonna get to untap with Kuzan, so that's why I took it. So Bonnie finds Law. He just needs this Nami. Unfortunately, the Nami whiffs. The only Straw Hat there was another Nami. Nami can't find itself, so a little bit of luck for me. And Bernie didn't ramp there. He's just getting his shambles done. That was in the deck. Switched it. It's locals. It's chill, you know. So he shambles plays his Law, picks up Bonnie, and plays Zora. Attacks me for 5. And I'm just gonna use the 2k. I knew I was gonna clear his board this turn, at least the 2 most threatening attackers. So I was like, I'll just counter this one, and next turn I'll be fine to take a leader attack for however big it's gonna be, whether it's 5 or not. But so yeah, I attack Zora for 6, and he lets it die, not using the Law in the 1k, and I'm able to capitalize because I had an Ice Age, so I Ice Aged the Law and then Lucci, the Brook, and the Law, and I get to keep my Kuzan untapped, which is the biggest point. Like, I could have obviously made that play by attacking with Kuzan, but then he can just clean it up. So this way I get to threaten my Kuzan another turn. Like, basically his next play is in just as much danger. So he plays a couple Bonnies, finds another Law, attacks me for 5. I counter out with a brand new, and it's gonna go a lot like last turn. It's gonna search with Nami, find a Nico Robin from set 5, and then shambles in the Law, pick up a Bonnie, and I believe he puts in a Curly Dedan here. Yep, there's Curly. And he finds a Chopper. So it's over to me, and my Brandon attacks the Bonnie. He decides to take the free block, but this was actually really ideal for me because I planned on utilizing all 8 of my Dawn, so I didn't want to have to attach the 1 to leader and 1 to Kuzan just to get beneficial blocks in. So I start by attacking Bonnie for 5 and minusing the Law. Then I'm going to attack the Law for 6. He can either counter or let it die. Later on in the day, Bernie told me that the majority of his 1k counters were his searchers, so they put him in a really difficult spot as far as trying to decide whether or not to take these quote-unquote free blocks and counters. But he does decide to counter. He counters with the Nico Robin, and I attack his leader for 5. And unfortunately for him, I punished the fact that he used that Nico Robin by Rebeccaing back at Lucci and playing Lucci to KO Law and Bigi. This time I KO Bigi to keep him off a color, just in case it matters. There was some redundancy in his board, so I was just like, I'll do what I can to pinch his colors, just in case it was ever going to be relevant. So Bonnie finds Law for the 3rd time. So we're both really battling out here, Lucci's versus Laws. See what wins out. Nami finds a Zoro, and we get attacked. My Kuzan gets attacked by Law, and here I'm deciding if I want to block for it or not. I'm pretty sure I don't have like a lot of counter in my hand, so it's either block or not. And because of the Zoro in hand, and he still has so much Dawn to shambles with and everything, I'm like, let me just let Kuzan die. It did plenty of work. It drew me a card and threatened so many things and helped me have some huge Luccis. So I let it die, and now he's gonna shambles in Law, pick up Bonnie, and attack my Lucci for 8, and we'll block it. So this turn, I also have a really fortunate hand for the situation. I'm gonna utilize all 10 of my Dawn. starting with a Mancherry to pick up Rebecca. Rebecca's back and puts in a Hina, and -4 is the law. Then we Houndblaze it, getting +3 to our leader. And then leader attacks Zoro for 8. He could obviously block for 8 here, but this is why the way I decided to use my Dawn is so, I guess, efficient. Not to pat myself on the back or anything. If he blocks here, I was going to attack Zoro for 7, which would eat 2 cards out of his hand, and another 7, which if he did 2 more cards, then, you know, it'd just be a disaster. So now the 7s get to go out of his face, and he's going to take the first one and block out of the second one. Just trying to untap with as many cards in hand as possible. So here, the camera died and I had to switch to my phone, so sorry for the perspective change and the scuffed way it's cut off and everything, but we did what we could. So he started his turn with attacking Mancherry with Nami. He's searching with Bonnie. He finds a restand law, and now he's gonna play another Nami, and I believe he decides on a Rush Luffy. Oh no, he takes the 2k Brook. So after a lot of thinking, I believe he's gonna get an attack in with his leader, 7 at Hina, and I believe, I want the power on board, so I just block with Rebecca. I know he's likely gonna attack it with something else from hand that he shambles in, but that's fine. I'd rather force the scenario. And then that obviously has the biggest upside if he didn't have it. But he did. He plays Veggie, shambles in a Rush Luffy, and kills one of my Lychees. So we're going to Great Eruption to Luffy. It's at -2. That's leader effect. And we attack Nami for 5, reducing Luffy. So now Luffy's at 2. So attack leader for 5, see if he blocks, just because I believe we're planning on using a Lychee, and if we don't have to KO the Veggie, we'd get even more characters off the board. But yeah, so I Rebecca Lychee, KO the Veggie and the Luffy, and swing 7 at lead. So he decides to take it, and going into the final turns, he starts off with Bonnie. I believe Bonnie's gonna find Zoro here. Yeah, Bonnie finds Zoro. Robin pretty hugely KOs my Rebecca. I have 3 cards in hand at this point, and they're 3 good ones for the way this game is going to end up panning out. So he attacks my Hina for 6, and I decide to save it with the 2k. Just wanting to untap with as many characters as possible because I know I want to go for game next turn since he's at 0 life. So he plays a blocker, uses leader ability to pick up Bonnie and play Zoro. And then he attacks my Lychee for 8, and I actually have my last 2 cards as 2k, 1k, so after a while I decide, you know what, I'm going for game, let me save it. Then I just top deck the Lychee. Looks like a crazy board, but yeah, I KO'd the blocker and he conceded. Hey, what's up guys? So the tournament finished, and thankfully I was able to take it down with Sakazuki. My matchups were Katakuri, then I played the mirror, and I won going first, thankfully. And then lastly, I played against my dog Rainy, and he was on Law, red-green Law, and it's a really tough matchup, but I managed to play 4 Lychees, so, you know, better player wins. But yeah, that was the tournament. We had about 16 players, 4 rounds. Nothing too crazy, but got myself another Winner Luffy and a Winner Pet. And hopefully you'll enjoy seeing the gameplay, and we'll catch you on the next one.